Hello and welcome to Editors Unplugged. The Parliament session began with the demand for resignation of Dharmen Pradhan, and the session ended with the demand for resignation of Amit Shah. Very little legislative business saw light of the day. So let's discuss that. Pragya Kaushika now joining us, Zaka Jacob, our managing editor, Madhav Das Gopalakrishnan. Pragya, आपसे ही शुरू करते हैं. कुछ काम ही नहीं हुआ पार्लियामेंट सेशन में.
But on a lighter note, Kiran Rijiju said very successful session, given the fact that 12 bills have been passed, which is true that bills have been passed. Government knew that they had to do the business irrespective of the debate. Only 18 hours in Lok Sabha and 38 hours in Rajya Sabha. By that standard, at least Rajya Sabha did some work, some debate we had seen. In fact, most of the opposition MPs are very aghast at the fact that Rajya Sabha at least working. They said this is treachery with us. They stop us from speaking here. And they're having the debate in Rajya Sabha. This is not right. We have to raise it with the Congress. So this is the sentiment among the opposition. But you're right, very less work, very less debate. We all wanted a very wholesome, constructive debate. There were very serious bills that were...
What went wrong?
So Congress decided that they have an issue on hand where they can corner the government, which is student protest. And this is the time when they can attack Home Minister for a... they have been looking for this opportunity for a very, very long time. And this is the issue where they could actually attack Home Minister. And this is why Rahul Gandhi decided that we need to attack Home Minister. No work unless until we get a statement from Home Minister. So, the fact is that government already knew the sentiment outside. What we have gathered from the top sources and very reliable sources is that government wanted some time to be lapsed, so that the emotions that were very high will calm down. They will come out and give factual statement, what actually transpired on July 20th. But Congress did not want to give that chance to government. And secondly, government was also looking for some documents that can be incorporated in their reply so that they can put Congress also on the dock. And somehow that information got leaked to Congress. And that is the reason why Congress also said it is too late for you to come to Lok Sabha and reply. We will not allow you, because Congress knew that they had to, they had to run away when HM will start speaking.
It's a big thing if the government secret is being leaked to the opposition, then...
No, I think it's a fascinating session. I mean, she mentioned that 18 hours of discussion in the Lok Sabha. I think PRS data says it's 15% productivity, which is the worst session since 2010. And you remember the famous winter session of 2010 when A. Raja was the telecom minister and there was this whole thing around 2G. That was the worst session in terms of productivity that the Lok Sabha has had. And this is the second worst in the last, 15 years or so now. And I think there were two factors for it. One, for the first time, I saw a hyper-aggressive opposition. Clearly, they had a big issue on hand. I think what happened on 20th July was unacceptable. It should not happen in any civil society. So they felt like this is an issue that they can beat the government with, and specifically they can, take the Home Minister to task. So it was a very hyper-aggressive opposition, and it was a hyper-defensive government. I mean, I have not seen in the last 12 years of the Modi government, especially someone like Amit Shah, who is the one who is batting on the front foot for the government. He's the most aggressive in parliamentary debates when it comes to countering the opposition. For every day of the last 20 days of this session, he's been coming to Parliament, and Pragya knows this, all the reporters know this. He's been coming to Parliament, but he didn't want to come to the House because he felt like the opposition will not give him a fair chance to make a fair statement on what happened on the 20th of July. It's a bit like, if I can use a cricketing analogy, it's like Virat Kohli saying, I'm padded up, but I will not come out to the pitch because the pitch is too pacey or the pitch is too bouncy. So I'm going to, sit in the pavilion. I mean, it doesn't happen. Your most aggressive batsman is the one who comes out there and counters the short pitch bowling and counters, the fast pace of the pitch and so on. You lead by example. And that is what has happened in the last 12 years of the Modi government. For some reason, in this session, in an inexplicable fashion, we didn't see a statement from the Home Minister inside the House. And the only statement that we saw, the bite that he gave to ANI and to PTI.
Yeah, on the penultimate day. Yes.
I thought it was very out of character. I've not seen...
That's very rare that he speaks to only two agencies, and that he doesn't address the press, and that too, an attempt to try and put across the government's point of view that we are ready for discussion. Because I think 2 or 3 things have happened. One is that Jairam Ramesh tweeted, I think a day or two before the last day, that this is the first time in 52 years that neither the PM or the HM have entered the House. And as if on cue, the last day they came at least for the Vande Mataram when just before the entire house was adjourned sine die. But I think 2 or 3 things that have very clearly happened over the last 2 weeks. I don't think we can look at the last 2 days in isolation, because yes, it's a fact that the government came out to say that we are ready for a discussion, and then opposition, as she says, try to stall that for the last 2 days. They give all sorts of excuses because they have to then bring in Ram Mandir, they have to give in all sorts of things. But there was a sense that not only, I don't know about these documents, but certainly Jharkhand would have been raised and the role of the student crackdown over there. So they would have said, don't just look at student crackdown in isolation as to what has happened in New Delhi, also look at what has happened in Ranchi, and that would have taken a little bit of the sting out of the Congress and the opposition's attack. That was one of the points that I had heard. But if you look at also the public perception, the entire sense, and I agree with her, the sense within the opposition is that if they have to put this government on the mat, then their argument is going to be, why could you not come out earlier and speak? What were you waiting for 2 weeks for, before you came out and made a statement on this? When the incidents that happened on the 20th, you've not come out and explained. And all the issues related, whether it's intelligence failure, whether it's the failure of the police, whether it's the failure of the CRPF as a paramilitary force, all come directly under the Home Minister. So as Zaka said, clearly the opposition felt that this is a once in 12-year moment where they can put the Home Minister on the match, something that they've not got to do earlier. And that's clearly how they're going to look at. Now, what happens ahead and how eager or over-eager the opposition is, whether they also stumble, like for instance, their own remark with a monkey, has not gone down with their own allies and several of their own leaders.
Yeah.
Monkey and the Melanie remark by Rahul Gandhi on the last day.
Yeah, but a bit of
But that's outside Parliament. I think particularly.
Bit of clarification here, Madhav, because you rightly said that Jharkhand was an issue and government also wanted to target opposition about that, especially Congress. But Home Minister has sent a very clear message to the opposition through Parliamentary Affairs Minister to Rahul Gandhi that he will not even name Jharkhand in his speech. So he is not going to do politics over it, but he will put out the basic facts in front of opposition, in especially targeting Congress. So that was the clarity that Home Minister had.
But messages behind the closed doors, that is not for public consumption, and people always go back and forth on that.
Absolutely.
We've seen that happen during UPA, we've seen that happen during India. Something's decided in the BAC and the exact
Did
opposite
the
happens on the
opposition
floor.
overplay the card? They kept shifting the goalpost, started with Dharmen, Pradhan must resign, then we will agree for a debate.
Yeah.
Never happened.
I think there was a degree of shifting the goalpost by the opposition, no doubt about it, because first they said Shah should come, make a statement. Then the government agreed, HM agreed that he'll come and make a statement. Then they said, no, PM should apologize. Then it became about Chanda Chori. So they were clearly shifting the goalposts. What I thought was also interesting was, it's not in the nature of this government to play on the back foot, right? They've never played on the back foot, even in the most, damning crises that this government has seen in the last 12 years, whether it's the CAA protests, whether it's the farmers' protests. I mean, farmers' protests took a whole year for it to actually, the laws to be withdrawn. But somehow, in this instance, I felt like the opposition is setting the agenda and the government is reacting to it. Nowhere was the government seen as setting the agenda for the opposition to react. All these last 10, 12 years, it's always been the government that's brought forth issues, whether it's on Vande Mataram, nationalism.
The one exception is Bharat Jodo. I think that's the only time when Congress was setting some amount of agenda and the government was reacting. It's after only 3-4 years that it's happened.
Yeah, but with Bharat Jodo, it happened over a period of time. Like, I think he was walking for a good 6 months, the first yatra and the second yatra. And by the time it started capturing people's imagination, there was a bit of time.
True.
In this case, I think 2 things happened. One is obviously, everything that happened on the 20th of July, one minister is responsible for it, right? I mean, he has to, at the end of the day, the buck stops with that one minister. So, as Pragya said, as Madhav said, first time in 12 years, the opposition felt like this is it. We are able to hit the head of the throne, right? So they really persisted with that. Second, I also thought, and somewhere it was quite smart, even though for Akhilesh Yadav, Samajwadi Party, and they have elections, less than 6 months from now, Chanda Chori is a bigger issue for them, no doubt about it. But they stuck with the overall opposition unity on this thing that, look, whatever is being decided in the opposition meeting in Kharge's chamber or wherever every morning, we will stick by it. We will not divide. Even parties like DMK, which have no love lost now for the Congress, finally said, whether it's on delimitation, whether it's on other contentious issues, FCRA also, they finally came around and said, we will go by whatever the consensus opposition view is. I also think, look, students is one thing, Amit Shah is one thing. even on the bills that were important to the government, FCRA, for example,
absolutely.
I mean, they went back. They've referred it to the JPC, which basically means you're putting it in cold storage, right?
And how often does that happen?
Exactly.
And this was a session on the back of the massive election victory in West Bengal.
Exactly.
But that protest in Delhi and the police crackdown and attack on the police changed everything, Pragya. And like he's saying, for the first time it appeared to many people that the government is not in a position to dictate.
Well, absolutely. If you look at it in that perspective, obviously the common people and the public will look at it like this. Because, here is a home minister who takes everything head on. And in fact, he is the one who is facing all the brickbats from the opposition. And he is also putting the opposition in the dock. This time, it looks like that the opposition had the upper hand, despite the triumphs that they had in West Bengal. But, if you look at very carefully, government somehow realized that, there is a younger population. This younger population is our prospective voters. And Prime Minister never wanted that population to go away from.
Antagonize that.
To antagonize biggest chunk of voters. And there is also perception, I would look it as restraint, have the government applying the restraint.
They were being
dealing with
sensitive to the sentiment. Yes.
Because, what opposition is saying that they are autocratic, they do not listen, they are unconstitutional, they are undemocratic. This is exactly why the government hold itself back on many issues.
Right.
This is the reason why Christians group, Mizoram CM have been called for interaction. In fact, Home Minister had sent reminders to these Christian groups. Please, you came to me with your objections. Please send me suggestions. 2 reminders have been sent and nothing came back. So it obviously, we had seen distrust from opposition to the government, but this time it is other way around. The government had no trust in opposition because they were seeing that they're changing goalpost. The final target was resignation of Prime Minister. If they had demanded resignation of Home Minister, then they would have gone to Prime Minister because buck stops ultimately with the Prime Minister. So that was the larger plan and larger goal. Obviously, government also has its IB. They also know what's happening in the opposition camp. They also have people, MPs sitting there in the strategy meetings. So they knew that opposition is not very serious, very keen on debating FCRA or other bill.
I come back to that whole point, right? It's again, the opposition is setting the agenda and the government is reacting to it. Look at the number of critical bills which are important to this government. It's the agenda of the government. One Nation, One Election has gone to a JPC. FCRA now has gone to a JPC. Delimitation, we don't know if it will come up in the winter session, because if it does not, then it expires 31st of December 2026. So then what happens in 2027? Does the census automatically kick in? Will this whole formula 50% weightage increase for all states? Will that change? So the issues that matter most to the government, the bills that matter most to the government, are all going by the wayside, right?
Zaka, because this is the third the third term of the government. They have to be cognizant of the fact that they are not alone. There is some sort of, boredom also that comes with such a long tenure. People do want change
Governance
sometimes.
fatigue, as they.
And secondly, remember when there was also a movement against government on caste and reservation, RSS said that, RSS told them specifically that, before you bring in very important policies that affect each and every person in the society or major chunks of the society, please go have deliberations, discussions first. Just send feelers, know what people want. At least you won't be blamed for imposing them. So this is why after that, government started going slow on these bills. They said, okay, you want JPC. Obviously, in JPC, majority is yours. Eventually, irrespective of the dissent that opposition MPs have, you will have your way in JPC also, and you will adopt the report.
I think, but you're absolutely right. What she's saying is very important, because the fault lines within BJP, within the BJP RSS, all those fault lines have come forth in these last 3 weeks. And I think that is the most important aspect of this session. And it's time for, and the broad consensus to a lot of people who I speak to who are, either in the BJP or in the government, is that there was need for a reset. There was a need for a reset in terms of the approach, because it was being perceived as being high-handed, and the Gen Z protests just highlighted that. And just look at the manner in which the Gen Z is reacting. For instance, we saw what happened to the Bar Council chairman when he tried to, crack down on the students in Nalsar, saying you won't get admission in the state bar councils. There's immediate social media backlash. That becomes a political issue. One clarification comes, there's again another backlash, and post-midnight, the entire idea is withdrawn. So that's the kind of reality that the government is faced with. The last 12 years, they've not had to face it. They've of course had the upper hand when it comes to social media. But now with this huge chunk of youth who they just cannot afford to in any way, be seen as a disenchanted a lot of youth, they have to ensure that their sentiments, their the way they're positioning themselves, their policies are all in tune with that generation. Because otherwise, as Rahul Gandhi and other leaders like Akhilesh Yadav and all will say, is that this is a government that is totally disconnected with the youth of the country. This is a government that is misusing police, etc. All those narratives which opposition typically tries to build, saying that all our institutions have been occupied, those narratives once again will gain credence. So I think for the government now, it has to now play that difficult balancing act. And 12 years, as you rightly said, is long for any government.
One interesting thing which he mentioned, the fact that in the middle of this session, Mohan Bhagwat had that
Gen Z
interaction, that Gen Z
analysis,
interaction, and said that, they're not anti-national, they're not anti-loyal, I think they're the most honest generation. I think the signal would have gone straight to the top that, look, as far as the RSS is concerned, this much and no far in terms of, don't further antagonize these young people. You need to go out of your way to sort of reach out to these young people. It also explains why the Prime Minister himself came on Instagram like 3 times in the course of a week before Mr. Pradhan resigned and interacted directly with Gen Z. I think the signaling is coming from the top of the government to everybody else in the government.
You're right. That was a progressive discourse. Yeah. What was the feedback, that you got from BJP MPs, ministers about what Mohan Bhagwat said at that interaction in Mumbai?
So everyone said that we also need to change our ways, how we speak with youngsters and how we understand youngsters. They all knew. But I would say they are all looking at Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And there was a lot of praise that they had for him for adapting, to the technology, adapting to how youngsters think. And in fact, he's the one who started Pariksha Pe Charcha. He's the one who started, grooming these youngsters as a voter base. We should not forget that, whatever he does gets emulated by everyone.
No, that is true. But what does it say about the party if the Prime Minister has to do heavy lifting all the time? What are the others doing?
You're absolutely right. There's a problem with the netas, but that is a traditional way of doing politics in the BJP, and not just in BJP, even Congress also. They are no better than the BJP when it comes to youngsters. Rahul Gandhi may speak about
you're
women,
absolutely right.
He can speak about patriarchy, but then he will make comments about Melanie also. So, and there is no regret and remorse, and using, the locker room chats, you cannot have that on a stage which is Rachnatmak Congress convention. To be fair, at least BJP leaders, the top leaders, avoid even speaking like that publicly.
Which is why I said that the opposition, whatever momentum that they had, with this Melanie comment, they've squandered it away, or that is what it seems.
Remember that BJP is a party that is known to, do heavy research even before elections. Even before all of this, they are known to course correct, to try and change the narrative, to change the perception before even assembly elections. And we've seen that happen. We've seen that, I think, in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh also, where they were believed to have been losing the election, but they actually won those elections. So, and not only those, other elections as well. So there are 3 years left in this Lok Sabha. The Prime Minister has shown the direction. There's a lot more that can be done. They can cover this ground. It's not something that is completely impossible for them. And they have that momentum. They are, at the end of the day, in far more states in power. If you look at NDA versus the India Alliance, then, of course, the opponents, which is India Alliance. So I think in that sense, certainly the BJP has a lot of changing to do. And how they change, how they adapt to that change and still remain true to their voter, their ideology, their identity. I think that's going to be the difficult tightrope walk for the BJP to follow from.
One quick thing that I wanted to discuss is what many in the Congress are saying. Some are saying this in hush-hush tones. The others, like Mr. Chidambaram, have been more vocal about it. He was asked a question that you've been the former Home Minister. Should the current Home Minister answer for the police action? He said the Honourable MP has made a comment. He will substantiate what he said.
No, Mr. Honourable MP is who?
Rahul Gandhi. When Rahul Gandhi said that Amit Shah ordered the Delhi police to fire.
No, I think what he has been saying all along, I think he said it in Parliament, he wrote that op-ed in the Hindu as well, is either of two things happened, right? Either the orders were with the knowledge of the Home Minister and therefore he is culpable, or he didn't know and therefore he's incompetent. So he's saying one of these two things has happened.
But both of these things are not right.
May not be true.
Yeah.
Neither of these may be true. But we don't know until the Home Minister comes in.
Yeah, because this is a decision that is taken by the cop on the ground,
Fair
DCP
enough.
level and above.
But ultimately in politics, the buck stops at the top.
Perception-wise.
Yeah, I mean, perception-wise and even other. See, again, Dharmendra Pradhan did not conduct NEET. The NTA conducted NEET.
No, but
Why
here's
did
a
they go-
specific question that
Yeah.
Shah ordered firing for Rahul Gandhi
so
to say,
he-
and for someone.
The point is when decision making happens in government.
I
we
get
don't know
that.
the
I'm
level
only
of
saying about
decentralization
if
and the level
Rahul
of
Gandhi is
empowerment. You see,
is
a
the
law and order
tallest leader
situation.
of the Congress party, Madhav sir, then
No,
why
I
is Mr. Chidambaram shying away from endorsing what Rahul
Actually,
Gandhi
Mr.
is?
Chidambaram very often differs, and his son also very often differs from what the,
Yeah.
you know very well from what the Congress's official line is.
Even
And
Julia
in fact,
Chidambaram
that's the most
differs from
interesting
Rahul
thing about the
Gandhi,
Congress
thanks.
is that they have a rainbow of opinions across, from right-leaning to left-leaning persons within the party itself. So Congress, in fact, very often ends up tying itself up in knots because of those kind of statements coming in. But I think the point being made is just this: that end of the day, when he says that did the Home Minister know about the lathi charge, etc. See, you have a situation, and even we've done those stories about pellet guns, for instance, that were used. They're used right outside Parliament, something that's not been used outside Jammu Kashmir for the last 10 years. So those kind of decisions, are they happening at the ground level? Have they taken sanction at the highest level? Does it happen at the level of the Delhi Police Commissioner or the DIG or the DCP on the ground, I beg your pardon? Or do they require higher sanction? Those are the kind of questions that the opposition is asking. So I think given the unprecedented nature of what we've seen before us, I think those are legitimate questions.
No, legitimate
It's for the
question,
government to
but
answer them.
we didn't have a debate, so we will.
Yeah, I think where I also thought the opposition missed a trick or two was at that final week when it was being speculated that finally the Home Minister will come, he'll make a statement, we'll have a debate or whatever. I think they missed a trick. They should have allowed the Home Minister to come to make that statement. I think the government's fear was also, what if he comes to the house and then they gerao him, right? That was also a big fear for the government. I think the opposition missed a trick in that last week. They should have let the Home Minister come, make the statement, and then, of course, there would
Countered
have been
him
a
with
debate.
facts
countered
there,
it,
right
yeah,
in front.
countered it with facts
the
or whatever.
whole
yeah.
monsoon session was washed out because of this one demand
reason.
that HM should come to the house.
Correct.
And when he decided to come to the house, that was a golden moment for the Congress, because he's not just making a statement, as Rahul Gandhi said, we don't want lecture. He is saying that I'm giving you a full debate. Take as much time as you
he
want.
said, I will listen to everything you have to say and then answer.
Then I'll answer. And that is the fear of Congress.
Okay.
They thought that they're gonna be turning the tables on Congress.
Before we
there
end
will
this,
be no running around. And secondly, one sneak peek into what Home Ministry may be saying later, or whenever Home Minister says things about July 20th incident. From a very credible source, they said no pellet gun was fired. And they have explanation why those pellet injuries were there. On few of the students were there. There is a technical reason to it. But when Home Minister speaks on this, he will give clarity on what actually transpired on that day.
So
but that
without it-
moment was
without it-
lost because Congress decided
But that's
that
okay.
they
I mean, the government can, come out with a disclosure,
also
even
it's in-
otherwise,
it's in
even if
court,
the
so
Parliament
they'll have to
is-
review to the Supreme
Yeah.
Court.
They'll have
So-
to give an
Absolutely.
explanation.
But before we end this, when is the new BJP team,
So I've been told, which I have been told for many months now, but I've been told this, it could be next week. As soon as Sunday, or it could be
What
next
will
week.
it mean? New
But
BJP?
after monsoon session, have they decided to rejig that new team? Because I'm
No,
told
the
there's been
team
some
was in
rethought
place.
in terms of who they want.
Even in the new team.
Exactly, because that's exactly what this whole incident has done in terms of actually changing the way that the BJP thinks, and to try and perhaps bring in younger faces and to bring in those who would be more
The
relatable
idea-
to that.
No, BJP doesn't work like this because they have a vision for the country. They have a vision for the organization. So it was well in advance decided that there will be a mix
Do
of
you have a date?
experienced-
Kab tak aayega, or a week?
Date to even when it gets signed and when it gets published in the
Who knows? It is signed.
We've reported many dates in the last.
Okay, let's.
But that also
leave it
came
at-
from top sources only.
Right.
So
We've
we report
run
only
out of
that.
time, viewers. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Do let us know what you think of this. Thank you for watching.